we have to create an energy internet that crosses continents. And that way, let's say in Eastern Europe, where it's nighttime, they have a lot of wind, the surplus goes up on the energy internet to the places which are still daytime. Or if you have a lot of sun somewhere in Europe and Western Europe during the day, you put the surplus up on the net, and that energy internet will take it to another part of Europe. So, you know, these energies are intermittent, and they change in different times of the day in different parts of a continent. So to the extent that we have an energy internet, we can share our surpluses when other has lulls, and we can, if we store it correctly, hydrogen and other storage technologies, we can deal with peak loads, base loads across continents. That's what we're attempting to do in Germany and in Europe right now. And I was just in China. That was a big surprise to me with China, because I didn't think they were going to be players. The Third Industrial Revolution, my former book, was published there 2 years ago, and the new premier read it in English and instructed the government to now move on a distributed energy internet and to move toward a Internet of Things. I was there in September with the leadership. 10 weeks later, after my meetings with government leadership, the Chinese government announced an $80 billion 4-year commitment to move the distributed energy internet across China so everyone can produce their own energy. By contrast, the U.S. is going to try to raise $3.5 billion over 20 years for a centralized smart grid. So I'm guardedly hopeful, but I think that these are real challenges. And for you, the challenge is your upfront cost. So you can pay them off and get to your marginal cost being nearly free. It's a challenge.
What about the logistics? Can you explain that?
That's the newest one. That's the newest one, and I deal with that in the book. It's brand new, last 24 months. We're dealing with now in Nord-Calais. We're doing a master plan for the oldest industrial region of France, and they have Dunkirk, a port facility. The logistics is the most inefficient part of the value chain. That's why it's costly. You have freight across the country. When you see a truck, sometimes it's only 20, 30% full, or it's dead heading back with no cargo. It's not systematized. It's not efficient. What we're looking at now is a transport and logistics automated internet. And this would allow you to have everything modularized so that you can move shipments to any distribution center you want. For example, there are 5,000 warehouses in the U.S. So what? If you're a big company, vertically integrated, you own maybe 20 of them. So you have to send your stuff way out of the way, hold it there, and then take it to the destination. But what if all 5,000 warehouses, privately owned, came together in a cooperative? So when they had a space, it would be open to anybody. You follow me? Then with 5,000 distribution centers, you could move to whichever one you wanted and save a huge amount of your transport time moving it through the system with GPS guidance, but you'd have to have all the containers modularized. Everything would have to be on the same standards, so you could move the package across that internet like you move all the packages across the communication internet. And then if you can move to driverless vehicles and drones, that's going to reduce your labor costs substantially. So you'll get toward zero, but it'll still be marginal cost, but fairly low compared to the costs we have now. It's exciting. We're just beginning this discussion in the last 24 months. We're laying down the first plan in northern France now, so we're on a learning curve. In the business community, we did not see cell phones coming to sub-Saharan Africa and rural India. It was never in the equation. All of a sudden, without any marketing, millions of people started getting cell phones. Then the cell towers came. And what we realized there was the liability in the developing world is actually their asset. They have no infrastructure. It's easier and quicker financially to build from scratch than to mend an old infrastructure. It's like a home. My wife and I have a beautiful old home. We've spent 24 years trying to renovate this home. It's a big entropic pit. Sorry, honey, but it's an entropic pit. Had we built a new house from scratch in 6 months, much cheaper. So the United Nations has embraced the 5-pillar Third Industrial Revolution plan we've laid out toward this Internet of Things. Why? They think the developing world can move quicker. Now in rural India in the last 24 months, and now sub-Saharan Africa, young people your age, startup companies are all over the map in the rural areas, and they're setting up little microgrids. $2,000 for a village. You wire up the huts, you put solar panels on, you lease the panel. When it's paid back, it's yours. And a village, a small village of several hundred, $2,000. So you can set up microgrids, and it works like Wi-Fi. You start connecting the small players together, and all of a sudden you have a network. Just like a Wi-Fi network, you have a near zero marginal cost energy microgrid network, and you create from the bottom out, not from the top down. That's beginning to happen. It's pretty encouraging. As to the haves and have-nots, let me say, you know, I taught the advanced management program at Wharton for 16 years, our CEO program, nearly 16 years. We all believed that in the first and second industrial revolution, we had to vertically integrate our business activity. Every society needs three things in order to organize itself as a society: a form of communication, a form of power, and a form of mobility. When communication comes together with energy, they create new systems. For example, in the 19th century, the communication, we went to steam power printing, cheap, efficient, mass-produced printing, and the telegraph. That allowed us to manage a complex coal power industrial revolution. That was the power source. And then we introduced the locomotive for the mobility so we could bring dense urban areas together and create national markets. 20th century, second industrial revolution, the form of communication was centralized electricity, the telephone, then radio and television, to organize a power source, oil, and a new mobility factor called the internal combustion engine. The third industrial revolution, the communication is the internet and the Internet of Things. The power source is the energy internet and renewables that are distributed energies. And the mobility is an automated, driverless transport and logistics system in one platform. So I think the trend lines are there, but what it allows us to do now is eliminate vertically integrated global companies where they were essential in the first and second industrial revolution because they reduced marginal cost. They eliminated a lot of middlemen. You put everything under one roof. But now the Internet of Things allows millions of people to even bypass those types of vertical organizations, scale laterally, eliminate all the middlemen, and you directly engage each other. That's what the Internet's about. Millions of people go up there on lateral economies of scale. They are bypassing, thanks to Google and all these others, they're bypassing all the middlemen with information goods. Now they're going to be able, with these lateral economies of scale, to also move to the world, the physical world, energy, and 3D printed products.